Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I'm on my walk today. Since I'm right in front of the 7-Eleven, I figured I'd take care of the business that needs to be taken care of tomorrow to make sure I pay for the room now while I'm in front of the place. Ain't no sense in making an extra trip here for no reason tomorrow. But I'm really out here trying to get some sunlight, man. I don't want to sit in that room because this has been cold the whole time. But I just made a video just now kind of telling people what I see there in regards to a few things that we're seeing on the internet that just horrible, man. It's just the worst thing in the world, you know. But at the end of the day, I see it through a spiritual lens, and that's kind of what I was trying to express. I misspoke quite a bit in that video, quite a bit. I don't really know why that is, but yeah, I can say I made a lot of word mistakes. But at the end of the day, I think what I tried to convey was pretty clear. And so I hope everybody goes and checks that video out and sees what's going on in my head in regards to this conversation. Because at the end of the day, I want to see some things change, man. I don't want to just continue to go forward letting people engage in genocide without standing up against that nonsense, man. I'm a person of God. I believe in it. And I don't need to selectively pick and choose who deserves to get what and why. Not at all, man. If you're a good person, regardless of what your color or your religion or your creed or your sex or how you move in whatever way you do, if you're moving in a way that allows for solidarity, then you deserve, at the very least, basic human rights. That includes being held accountable for the things that you do wrong, to be under the law just like everyone else, to have food and water, to have your children be safe and treated with respect and given opportunities to learn and become whoever it is they can become in this world. And I just don't think we engage in that up and down. I really don't. We can look at what's going on with the situation in Israel and say the worst things in the world about it, which we have a right to. But at the end of the day, if we're not checking ourselves and whatever evil we got going on in our own hearts, or whatever type of breakdowns of logic we may engage in our practices, then we certainly shouldn't think that they're going to be strong enough to do so themselves. That's why I always tell the Lord, you know, I want you to end the evil inside my own heart before I even ask him to do anything else. Because if I'm not looking to check myself, then how can I expect anyone else to be strong enough to check themselves? When I see people engage in psychopathic, narcissistic, dystopian energy, what's to say that I'm any better than them if I can't first look at whatever is wrong with me and say, yo, yeah, maybe I got to change some things too. Maybe there's some things I'm in denial about fundamentally, or some things that may have been taught to me over the course of generations that maybe I need to take a look at. Because I can clearly see what's wrong with them, but they can't see what's wrong with them. Maybe if they look hard enough, they can see what's wrong with me, and I wouldn't be able to see that. So it's like, if we can't get strong enough within ourselves in the mirror to at least be able to try to go that far, then when we start trying to hold other people accountable, we're just some other version of what it is that we're seeing over there in that situation. Maybe not to that degree, but far enough to where it's ridiculous. And that's what I'm here to tell all of you guys. Good morning, fellas. I want us to be better than that. And I think we can be better than that. But if we don't try to be better than that, then trying to hold them accountable ain't no different than them saying whatever it is that they're saying in the name of whatever it is they believe that you don't agree with, and them not changing their mind just because you come up with some logic in regards to it. What this has taught me, and I hope most of us, is that there are ways to have been wrong for so long, as I've said many times. And maybe some of the stuff that we believe in absolutely fundamentally are the very things that make this world a worse place. And if they can't fathom that, and because of it, they're making the world a worse place. They can't see how looking at Palestinian children and not feeling anything for them and treating them like they're horrible and not engaging in gaslighting behavior when others are trying to hold them accountable for it, is wrong. You got people who've been on this earth for 70 and 80 years, can't see past that. And what I'm also telling you is, in this country, we got people who hate me for my skin color who genuinely believe they're good people because they were taught that. I need them to look inside themselves, see what was taught to them as wrong, and they don't even know where to start with that. And I tell you right now, this is where they start. I look in the mirror and see something and say, I don't think anything's wrong with what I'm doing, but just in case there is, Holy Spirit, help me see it. Let me know where I need to not only grow, but unlearn things that were put in my head by those who didn't mean me no good. If such things exist, for which they probably do. Living in a country like this, where people are walking around on stolen land like it's supposed to be fine, and valuing money over human lives, and determining that people don't deserve basic human rights based on how much money they've earned for another entity that's looking to earn. I mean, these type of things like, oh, you don't work, you don't eat. Some people can't work. What about them? They don't eat. Doesn't that make you a bad person for not allowing them to eat? I'm not doing it. It's just what it is. Okay, and it's just what it is. Why? Because you are co-signing it. Are you not? Yes. All right. Well, when you look over there and see what they're co-signing, do understand that they're not engaging in anything different than you are. It's just a different subject. Same pattern of thinking. And so this is more so about checking ourselves. Not just for what it is that we understand we need to change, but within the things that we may not understand need to be changed. And ask for guidance and enlightenment and the discernment to change ourselves and to get the evil out of our own hearts. If you're praying any prayers to destroy evil, you better start with yourself if you want to be effective. And if you think evil is only stuff that comes against you and your people, then I'm telling you, you are engaging in Israel behavior. That's Israel. That's what they made of over there. The only evil in the world is the stuff that hurts me. All right, cool. And we're going to put you in the category with people who kill babies, because that's what they talking about. That's exactly what they talking about. And they can't overcome themselves just like you can't overcome yourself. So guess who you are? You them. I mean, at some point in time, we need to start seeing it that way, man. It ain't no different. This is a different subject. Whatever your norms are based on what it is you were since a baby, those are the norms. If they told you, look at, like, we engage in certain things called, circumcision, for example. That's normal to us. It's hygienically normal. But if you really consider what it is you're doing, cutting off pieces of your body like that, you should be terrified of that. If that wasn't culture, if that wasn't understood to be any good, and somebody tried to bring a scissor to your body or to your baby's body at that, since we do this to a lot of our children upon birth, man, you would think that was crazy. You want to shoot up the whole room. But it's normal to us because we've been engaging in it and we've seen it be fine, and so that's just what it is. And then when you see people engage in other stuff, you look at like African countries and various different places, they put all types of gold charms upon their throat to make their neck all long. You look at that, think that's crazy. Big things that people put in people's ear to try to grow out their earlobe and stuff like that. It's like, yo, that's different. That's weird. I would never do that. That's so disturbed. It ain't disturbing if you grew up with it. If you grew up believing, and I could just say some nasty ridiculousness, but whatever comes to mind, you're going to just roll with that because that's what everybody agrees to, and that's what y'all do. That's what's sane to you. There's a lot of stuff within our society that is sane to us based on our ancestors doing it that I'm telling you is about as morbid as anything else. It's morbid as anything else. And the conditioning of your mind and what is agreed upon will sometimes be completely lost upon you until someone helps you by disarming you of any and all things that help you not see that logic. You just have to be completely disarmed from it. Someone breaks it down to you in the most simplest terms that doesn't allow your mind to get away from it, strap you down into a straight jacket so you can't fight your way away from that logic. You just got to sit there with it. That's the only way a lot of us are going to be able to even get through some of the stuff that was given to us by generations and generations of people who just taught us some really morbid and wrong stuff. Really, racism is the number one thing. It's the number one thing. Because immediately we go into our Israelite mind mentality. whatever come against me is against us. Whatever comes against me is evil. No, you're engaging in evil. You just were taught it from birth. You don't know any better. You also taught to defend it because it is evil, and that from which it is must sustain. So therefore you need to defend it even if it don't make no sense or all is lost. That's what you're going to believe. And it's like, no, that is something that holds you back. That is something that reflects poorly upon your name. That's something that helps you into bad karma, that will put a target on your back and a target on your last name, and have people wanting to boycott you, and have people wanting to have you fired and thrown out of circumstances from which you need to make money, and various different things that racism really does. It's like, if you can't see that's a weapon against your very own self. But my great-great-granddaddy hate black people. My great-great-great-great-granddaddy hate black people. And look at how he's being viewed in 2023. Slave owner, racist, the scum of the earth, somebody who kept the country behind. It's like, there's certain things you just got to understand is no good for you, man. And maybe because of the lens you've been looking through all this time, you'd rather not change, because if you have to change, then you got to look at certain other things. Then you got to start allowing people into your life that you may fear. Now you don't know who to trust. Now you think everybody hates you because you're racist, so therefore you better defend yourself against what it is you no longer hate. You may not hate it no more, but you definitely fear it, because it's definitely going to be looking at you like you're the worst thing in the world. So it's like, at some point in time, we got to realize that energy ain't no good for you, man. Never mind how much you think it served you in cheating the world by standing on the backs of people who have color and getting all types of good from it from within yourself. At the end of the day, it never really served you at all, because it just tumbled you forward to being needed to be stopped. That's all it ever tumbled forward to be in. And Israel is the best example for all of us who engage in the various different evils that we engage in, racisms and things that we engage in. They're the best example of what it is when you take that to a space that we can't even fathom, but it is very deep in their hearts. If ever there was an understanding, it's through this. They didn't convince themselves by way of what it is they believed in for all this time, that it's okay to not only steal people's land, but if they try to strike back, inflict terror upon them, and to kill all of their children, and to suffer them the ills of the worst possible things that we can consider all the way home. Like, that's what they agree to. Everybody, like, we all see it that way. Like, that type of craziness is something that we can't even get with. We can't understand. And even the worst of us are looking at them like they're a little off for that. But you don't realize that you engage in something similar in a different way. You can't overcome within yourself. Everybody agrees to this. This is what we do. You can't overcome it either. It's just a different thing. It's a different norm. Same pattern of thinking. It ain't okay to do none of that. If it's not okay for a baby to steal anything from another baby, and you want to slap your toddler across the backside for snatching something out of another baby's hand, then damn it, why won't you apply that same logic to everything you're looking at? Why won't you if you're going to scold a child for stealing, for which they love to do to my people who don't have a whole lot, anytime we try to loot anything, suddenly we're the worst terrorists in the world, even though they stole everything from us, so therefore we're in a desperate position of need. But they don't apply that across the board, because they're taught to not, except for when it's time to start measuring things. Things must add up. It's like hypocrisy does you no favors, friend. All it does is make you look crazy to everybody who's watching you, who wasn't raised in what it is that you're engaging in. Israel, and how we view them. Prime example. You can make yourself be used to anything. They are the best example of that in modern times. They think it's okay to not only engage in modern crime, but would dare anybody to hold them accountable. You then become hateful to them. You're anti-us. How am I anti-you? You're doing horrible things to other people. Yeah, but they're not people. And that's where you went wrong. They are people. You shouldn't have been teaching yourself that. That's where you went wrong, friend. They are human beings. But see, where does that begin and where does that end? We spray Raid on roaches. Don't they have hearts and feelings, and they're trying to raise their family and all that? Nah, we just wiped them away. Why? Because it's okay to do so. Are we sure? I think so. Because if they're getting my food, then I have a health issue. If they, it's like a lot of different things. But this is why it's okay for them to do that. Because the answer is, where does it begin and where does it end? It doesn't. It's the answer. Just like we wipe away boat roaches and fleas and every different type of living anything that ultimately gets in our way, they look at certain human beings that way. And so this is what I'm here to tell y'all, man. At some point in time, we got to start questioning what's in our own hearts and then trying to use whatever spiritual respect that we have for a God that we serve to ask him to help us see what it is that ultimately is wrong with us. If you ain't learned nothing from that, learn this. You may have something very, very fundamentally wrong with you that makes the world significantly worse, and you may be the first and last person oblivious to it. Don't know nothing about that. Won't engage in it. But I promise you, if somebody tries to disarm you of it and put you in a position where you can't defend yourself but to listen to it, you would have to live with it. And then you would become so sorrowful that you engage in such ridiculousness. We see people do it all the time with various different things that we always have in our way. The enemy has put that in a lot of people's hearts. For some people, it's people who are gay. Now, granted, I'm not gay, so I don't know how it feels to be persecuted that way, but I am black. And so when I start seeing people persecuting people for doing whatever it is they do, regardless if they can rub it off or not, because that's what we love to say. They can't rub off they can pretend to be straight. We can't rub off our skin. We black regardless. But we're not comparing the two plights in this conversation. We're just helping people understand that a plight is existing. And if you're going to get on them for something that you think God ain't happy with them for, and tell them they can't go over here, can't do that, got to be beat up, got to be killed, all of this, because you believe that they have angered God, then are you considering what may be wrong with how that may be in place only for you to anger God? The enemy's a liar, man. The devil's a liar. He wants you to piss God off so God can be mad at you just like he's mad at him. So, of course, if you're going to be pushing people out for the wrong that they do while not simultaneously understanding that you're doing wrong in some other area, are you going to push yourself up out of the church for the wrong that you do? God doesn't like that you alienate people for their differences. He don't like that. Are you going to then leave the church because he told you not to do that? No. But you're definitely going to push them out because you think he told them not to do that. But did he tell you that he told them not to do that? He saw it in the book, right? Guess what Israel saw in the book? That they deserve to get this land and so they can kill all the kids and everybody there. Because they saw it in the book. They believe they're the people of God. Now that, for which they think, may not necessarily be factual, but they believe it. That for which you think may not be factual, but you believe it. And it's in a book. It's like at some point in time, it's like, no, I don't have to be gay to understand that gay people don't need to be isolated from everything that otherwise needs to be in place for humanity to be found within their group. They are human beings. God says we are all sinners, so we all do something that he don't like. You understand what I'm saying? If that's going to be contingency for getting you up out of here, then we all need to get the hell up out of here. And there's a lot of people who have that so far into their mind to where if you try to make them see that logic, all they're going to do is fight. They start yelling and lashing out. It's not going to be about, well, damn, I'm wrong. No, that evil must be repelled. No, F you, you're wrong, and that's it. It's like, well, wait a minute. I just gave you logic for why you're all wrong, too. You just as wrong for what you're engaging in regards to this. A lot of us think we, call ourselves Christian, but we're going to push people out who are different. But if you follow Christ, he walked with people who were different. He tried to convert them to goodness because he knows that's the best way to fight the spiritual warfare we're in. As I was talking about in the last video, evil needs hopelessness and fear to engage in order for it to succeed. So if you're engaging in faith and good energy that is forgiving and all-inclusive, then you are a direct threat to its sustainability. That's what Jesus understood inherently. This is why you hear stories of him walking with Mary Magdalene and all these different people who lived a certain way, who maybe didn't engage in what would be what God likes. Because he knew to convert them with opposite energy that would otherwise be good in nature versus their evil. Not fighting fire with fire. So it's like, if you think that because God doesn't like what they do, that they need to leave the place that you're at where you worship, then you are not giving opposite energy to what it is that you define as what God doesn't like, are you? If anything, you should be trying to grab as many of them as you can to bring them in to provide a light for which you think God would then like, so that you can convert them to being the good that ultimately Jesus would have wanted you to do. That was something that I understood from birth. I didn't want to engage in the same things that maybe gay people may be engaging in, because that's not how I move. That's not what I like. That's not what, inspires within me sexuality. But that doesn't mean that if I were to discern what they're doing is something that's against God, that me doing something that is also against God is any different in his eyes. Why is that the worst sin in the world? Y'all let killers, murderers, drug sellers, embezzlers, and all different type of people pray with you in the name of redemption, but when it come to them, they got to leave because they're doing something that God don't like. How does that work? It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. And because it doesn't make any sense, we got to start checking ourselves when it comes to this stuff. See, a lot of times people are just afraid that they're going to be converted. They're not comfortable within themselves. They don't want what it is that they do in the dark to be seen in the light. So they are not at all going to want people who are comfortable in their own skin doing those things anywhere near them. Because they feel like they're going to be tempted. They feel like they're going to be lured. They feel like for which makes them tempted is going to ultimately convert them into what it is that they fear. That's where the phobia comes in. But if you're comfortable in your own self and know that you're forgiven from all your sin, then you don't have to sit in the dark with what it is that you are. You can be yourself and be better. You can be yourself and not engage in the debauchery that you otherwise think God makes you may be unhappy with. A gay man don't have to run around being flamboyant and throwing his body around all over the place. He can engage in the same celibacy that maybe you need to engage in your own life. To have control over his own sexuality just like anybody else needs control over such things. You gonna let that be the end all be all to whether or not someone should pray with you? So what you doing? Send them out into the sin that ultimately would tempt them, right? To keep them from what? Tempting you? Sounds selfish to me. That don't sound like what God wants you to do. It sounds like something God wouldn't want you to do. Can you see that? Can Israel see where they shouldn't be killing kids? None of us can see any of this. You know what I'm saying? Because you're raised with that. You're taught with that. You're taught by that by people who didn't think this through. You're taught by that by people who didn't want you to think this through, because then you would see what's in them if they don't want you to see. This is why I know to ask the Lord to help me in the evil inside my own heart, so that I'm not engaging in any of this sustainable energy that ain't no good for my spirit. It's going to have me doing stuff that ultimately makes God angry in the name of trying to push people away who make God angry, allegedly, maybe. For I don't know what's in their heart. I just know what they engage in. I know what other people told me makes God angry, so therefore God must be angry with them. I don't actually know. Because if I were close to God, he would tell me exactly what he wants me to do in regards to that. And I'm pretty sure it would come somewhere along the lines of either stay away from them so they don't tempt you, but don't push them away from places they ultimately want to go. It's for you to leave. If you can't be around them, to get away from them. That ain't the place for you. It ain't exactly not the place for them. Who made you gatekeeper? No pun intended. And so these are the type of things. It's like, well, look, if you can't see past that, then don't expect Israel to see past killing kids. They're not. They ain't gonna see past none of that. They're gonna keep on murdering these people in the name of what it is that they think is what makes them God's chosen people. And this is our land, and we're supposed to be able to take it because it's in the book, and that is it. So whoever wants to oppose us is anti-us, and anybody who wants to have compassion for them is offensive to us. Like, that's what they own. You know damn well that's crazy as hell. But you don't see the crazy in yourself, do you? You don't see it. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody who follows me to understand. Like, man, we got some of that same stuff going on with us, because evil worked the same way, just a different application of mistrust. It may not be that form of what it is that we're doing, but it's some other form that has that same line of thinking. If God ain't happy with them, then he probably ain't happy with you either. Maybe what they're doing is worse, but it doesn't mean that he's looking at you and saying you're doing fine. You're not. You're engaging in the same evil nonsense that the devil wants them roped up in, just in a different way. You're on the same side with them, and that's why you're quiet to this day when they do what they do. A lot of y'all need to understand that. Some of y'all don't even know why y'all being quiet. You're not fearful. You don't hate children. Some of y'all don't even find yourself to be guilty, even though you are of certain things. But you're still quiet in regards to what's happening over there. This is why. Because you're on their side in a different way, and they're not aware of it, just like they're not. This video is supposed to help you understand that. This video is supposed to insert into your mind something that ultimately will help you check yourself, even if you don't see nothing wrong. Just like my homegirl Simone said, that I referred to in a few videos ago. A lot of people think their spirits are where they need to be. So they let the enemy in by way of what it is that they feel is complete within themselves. They feel like they can do any and everything and nothing's going to go wrong because they are aligned with God. Israel. We're people of God. Nothing we do is wrong. Anybody who comes against us is against God because we're the people of God. So as we do whatever wrong we want to do, it ain't wrong. It's just what God wants us to do. It's like, no, that's the enemy setting you up for failure by way of your own inner demons and that for which is arrogance within yourself. Do not go forward with that. Not if you want to succeed. He ain't saying no different to you. No different to you. They may be worse, but that ain't the point. That ain't the point. Respect the need to be checked. All of us got some sin in us. That's why we are considered sinners. Everyone is. Except for the little ones of whom Israel is attacking. That for which is not corruptible. Children. They want to kill as many of them as possible. You don't see the spirituality in that? You don't see how spiritually see that through a spiritual lens? The only thing that they can't seem to corrupt is what they're trying to annihilate the most of? Innocence. Come on, man. That's why. They want everything damned just like them, just like every other division of the enemy. For which they can't convert, they must destroy. And they don't need you to, it don't need you to be converted into this division of it. They don't have to have you hating Palestine. They could have you hating gay people. As long as you hating something, without being able to see it, you're doing what it needs you to do. You ain't got to be killing kids and all of that, but you pushing people out of your church by way of what it is that ultimately is in your pain, your heart, and your concerns for angering God, even though God ain't told you nothing like that. Just like he ain't told them nothing like this. And a lot of y'all, the first thing y'all gonna say is, how can you compare the two? How can you not? You don't see it? Of course you don't. That's the point. That is the point. Because evil must sustain itself by way of its own doubt, by way of its own confusion, by way of its inability to see itself. It ain't never got no self-awareness, no self-control, very little, if any, self-respect. No, you don't see it. That's the point. That is the very point. And they don't see it. That's why they allow themselves to look so damn crazy out here. Psychopathic narcissism is what they're engaging in as a unit. And they're unable to see it within themselves. And many of us are not much different as it pertains to not being able to see that type of stuff in ourselves. So what are we going to do? How do we not find ourselves damned on the end of this thing? How do we not end up seeing ourselves betrayed by our very own behavior at the end of this thing? By fathoming such and asking for help from the one that you believe in, if you believe in such a thing, to help you with that. In the evil in my own heart, whether I see it or not. That's what you need to be saying in your prayers when you wake up in the morning. Especially the stuff I cannot see. Open my heart so that I can change those things, so that they don't reflect poorly upon myself and my last name. This is what you need to be saying in the morning. Right after you say, Lord, I'm thankful for waking up. Then you ask him to make you a blessing to someone else, not just yourself. That way, whatever's in you that you need to see, you're going to be able to see. If it's not right away, over time, it's all of us are responsible for this. All of us. Every human. All of us. So that whatever dystopian nonsense is taking place by way of your granddaddy, great-granddaddy teaching you this, by way of what was around him that was normal, that was really meant to keep up some evil nonsense that's been in place for so many years, can then be addressed from a spiritual standpoint from within yourself. Gotta address it. Otherwise, you're just gonna carry forth the relay of the evil that he was passing forward without ever being checked. And thus being on the side of those who were doing baby killing and all that stuff. Same side. You're going to be just as quiet as everybody else around acting like they don't see this. By way of your guilt, by way of that enemy inside of you, that you need to purge out by way of Jesus, I suppose. In my religion, it's Jesus. Maybe in their religion, it's Allah. And you know what? I know there's spiritual truth in both. That's why I don't have a problem with people who pray differently. But it's the same enemy. Same enemy. You can say, oh, Allah, Jesus, Allah, and that conflict between y'all that have y'all fighting over that, same enemy. That for which makes you hurt him, and that hurt person hurts people, and everybody who's hurt hurts everybody else. Guess what? Same enemy. Doesn't matter. You can pray to a different God. Same enemy. It's a problem. But we taught something different. We taught, no, if I'm a Christian, I can't be solid with them over there. I can't stand outside and protect them while they praying. They ain't supposed to be watching my back. No, man, we got the same enemy coming at us. It don't matter. It's the same spiritual entity that wants to destroy us all. Same energy. That's why I always stand guard for my Muslim brothers and sisters. That's why I'm so offended by what's taking place to them. That's why I'm so hurt by what it is I'm seeing that's happening to them. You think I'd feel any different if it was Christians? I wouldn't. Just because we don't know that we're on the same side doesn't mean that God doesn't know that we're on the same side. And if we line up on the wrong side, whether you're Christian or Muslim, you best believe you're going to be quiet while people are killing children. You know what I mean? Christian people I see that know this is going on, they're being quiet. They ain't not on our side. You got more friends on the Muslim side of things who are not doing that than you do on your own. God don't divide us that way. We divide each other that way. We move that way. God don't move that way. Good is good, bad is bad, ugly is ugly. Change is imminent. Like, whatever rag you wearing, that's why I never really was cloaked by the understanding that just because I grew up in a land where people were gangbanging, that they actually had friends in their own gang. Fool, the realest dude you know is on your other side. Because this is spirituality. This ain't just tribes. If he's a bad person, he's a bad person. If he's lost in dystopia and he can't see what's going on over there, and damn it, he's lost in dystopia. It don't matter if he's wearing your rag or not. It ain't no damn difference. It's going to be your homie that kills you. It's going to be your homie that puts you away for the rest of your damn life. It ain't going to be your op. And then we engage in this stuff in our society, probably put in place by the same people who are killing those babies. But we engage in this nonsense. We just can't see it. Guess who else can't see it? You know, you see how this goes? Cloaked by the evil that you engage in, never wanting to let it go. How are you any different than them? Different subject, same line of thinking. We're going to disarm that. Why? Because it's spiritual warfare. We're going to win. See, that's the point. Spiritual warfare, friends. That's what this is. And that's why all of these things align, even though they're different subjects, same line of thinking. This is why they align. Because it don't matter what version of this you engage in, it's still the same collective mind. And when you see something like this being done by the enemy directly upon a whole people, you're going to see a bunch of people being quiet about it. Why? Same line of thinking. If you look at it through a spiritual lens, it makes all the sense in the world. If you look at it through a worldly lens, it's going to confuse you. You look at it through a spiritual lens, you ain't confused by none of this. None of it. And you know exactly what's going to stop it. It takes people looking inside themselves, putting down things that otherwise are manipulated by those who are doing this, the evil that you do, that you pay into, that they nestle themselves in position to make money off of. Yeah, that's what you got to stop doing in order to stop them from doing what they doing. As long as you're corruptible, you're going to be complicit. The end. It ain't deeper than that. That's why the importance of being pure, not because you want to push away everything that's fun and good in your life and everything that's going to give you that electrical charge of happiness or whatever the heck people are going through, engaging in. That's not why. It's not to make your life worse. It's not to make it so that every good thing you never experienced in your little life of time that you have here. No, that's none of that. It's so that you don't become corruptible and line up with the enemy and complicit to what he's doing. Because he put himself in a position to benefit from all of that, from what you shouldn't be doing. On purpose. Because he knew you would do it. That's how that works. It's not so that you have a bland life. This is warfare, friend. Spiritual warfare. If it wasn't spiritual warfare, you can engage in everything that feels good, everything that looks good, or everything would be fine, because it ain't nothing coming after your soul or your mind. But at the end of the day, that's not how this works. It's not how this works. Because the enemy knew that, and he put himself in every single position, every position he could, to take advantage from that for which makes you weak. So when you engage in certain things, for sure, now you're guilty based on that. And then from there, when it's time for him to hold that over your head, in whatever way he does, he's going to. That's how that works. That's how it's always worked. So that's why I tell everybody, man, check yourselves. Check what's in your heart. If it ain't no good, see why you shouldn't engage in it. It ain't because your life is supposed to be bland to make God happy. It's because he's at war with the enemy for your soul, literally. Don't matter what religion you engage in. It does not matter what you believe in. It's the same enemy. Same enemy. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.